I don't really want to make this video, but I feel like I have to make this video. I am asked daily when I'm going to have a third child and if I'm going to have a third child. It's a question I have received constantly ever since I started making videos. I've always been on the fence. I've gone back and forth a lot. I just have not ever felt quite ready for that. When I had Wyatt, I wasn't ready for him to be my last child. I always knew that, but it was a matter of just wanting to be in a really, really good place if I were to have another one. So late last year, Matt and I kind of realized that we were in this ideal time of having a third. We were financially stable. The kids were at a great age. Everything was kind of falling into place. So we decided to do it. And boy, did that happen quickly. Oh my gosh. That is such a huge positive. Oh my goodness, you guys, that's a baby. Because I'm a little neurotic, I was taking a pregnancy test every single day. And so I found out so early, probably up to 2 weeks before the average person would find out that they were pregnant. Matt and I didn't celebrate it or anything. We have 2 other kids. We're still very busy people. We probably ordered Chinese food that night and that was the celebration, but we were both very excited. I am here at my first doctor's appointment. Matt couldn't come because he has a meeting, but we've done this before, so I said that's okay. I'm excited. So the earliest that they'll usually bring you into the doctor to confirm your pregnancy is at 6 weeks. So when I found out, I immediately called an OBGYN and I scheduled a 6-week appointment. So yeah, they weighed me, they took my blood pressure, my temperature, they asked a bunch of family health history questions, they asked me about my lifestyle, she asked how many glasses of wine I used to drink a week, and I was like, 2. But since finding out, I have not had any, of course. And then they had me pee in a cup to confirm the pregnancy, but then it was kind of weird because they had me pee in the cup and then she gave me an ultrasound anyway, and we weren't expecting an ultrasound because I didn't think they did it at 6 weeks. So I'm kind of bummed that Matt didn't get to be there, even though it was literally a blob. But I got to see the little heart beating. When it's beating, it's there. And it made it so real to me. Seeing its heart beating just, made me feel like everything was okay and everything was good. I'm really excited I got to see my little baby today. Makes it all worth it. All right, signing off. So typically people wait until the 2nd trimester to tell anybody that they're pregnant, just to make sure that everything's okay. But for me, I was 29. I'd had 2 perfectly normal pregnancies, 2 healthy kids. So I decided to tell a few close people. Okay, so Alex is coming over. For those of you who don't know, she is one of my best friends. And I'm not quite ready to tell everybody, but I'm going to tell her because she's gonna be so excited. Okay, here.
Oh my God, what? What are you doing?
I didn't do anything.
Are you pregnant? Oh my gosh.
Well, I decided to tell Alex first and foremost because she comes to my house almost every weekend and we always have a glass of wine, and she would know within 5 minutes if I'm not drinking wine that there's a reason. So because this was my last pregnancy to do everything right, I started planning. There were a few things that I decided I absolutely needed to do, one of which was a maternity photo shoot. So I ordered a dress, which in hindsight is so stupid to start doing it that early, as well as daily photos of my bump, because I never got any photos of my bump. And at the time, in my mind, there was not an inkling of a thought that anything would go wrong.
How are you doing over here in the corner?
I don't feel good.
Aww. So
one evening, out of nowhere, I just got these bizarre flu-like symptoms. Oh man, it's like that crippling nausea, you know, when you like can't think about anything. Morning sickness isn't actually morning sickness. It can happen at any time. So I took that as a good sign of things are happening. Things are progressing, you know? So at this point, if you don't want to hear any of the more medical details of what happened, skip ahead to this time in the video. So the next morning I woke up, and when I stood up from bed, there was this little pop. It was like at the base of my uterus almost, like a little just blip. With that came a little bit of pink colored fluid. I think that's fairly normal. You usually don't get concerned until there's bright red blood, but it was weird. You know, I didn't really think anything of it, and I went to work. And throughout the day at work, I just started feeling worse and worse. I started to bleed a little bit at work, and then it got a little worse. So I have been spotting, I started spotting yesterday, but it was like not that bad. Today, as the day went on, I noticed it just slowly started being more, and it was getting more red in color. And so now I'm home, and I'm waiting for Matt to come home and my mom, and I'm gonna go to the emergency room because my doctor told me to, and it's like I'm like pouring blood now. And there's no way I can fathom that I'm still pregnant. Like, there's no way. I feel wrong, like, documenting this. I really don't want to, like, talk to anybody. I wish someone had talked to me about this. So, Matt stayed with the kids, and I went with my mom to the ER. And I got there, and it was very crowded. And I waited in the waiting room for hours. By that point, I had started bleeding very heavily. I just remember feeling so embarrassed and nervous that I was going to get blood all over my pants. So they finally called me back, and turns out they didn't have a room for me. They had parked a bed next to the elevator in the hallway. I waited in that bed by the elevator. A physician's assistant, she asked me some questions, and I was just like, get me out of here. I don't want to be here. But at this point, I honestly didn't ask any questions through this entire process because I was totally in shock. So they finally wheeled me to get an ultrasound. They did that, and they wheeled me back up, and finally a physician's assistant came and sat next to me, starts reading out loud that I am no longer pregnant, and I knew. I was just trying not to cry, and I didn't want her to keep talking to me. She kept talking about stuff, showing me pictures, and I was just like, I don't care. I wanted to say it. I didn't say that, but like in my mind, I was like, just nod so she leaves. Just say, okay. So I could get out of there. When I got home, it was so late because I had been there for hours and hours, so I was exhausted. So after 4 hours, I found out that I'm not pregnant anymore. And that's, I don't know why I keep crying. Like I saw it. I saw its heartbeat. And I wanted to know what happened. I want to know what I did wrong. I don't remember saying that. I am a very logical person, and I need answers. I kept thinking, like, maybe if I had just taken it easy after I felt sick that night, maybe if I hadn't gone into work, maybe I took on too much, or I was too stressed, or I needed to find a reason why. And the difficult part to grasp is that there's no reason why. To this day, I still can't shake, and I know it's fully irrational, but I still can't shake the feeling of like, well, I'm not supposed to have a third kid. And this was my sign. So I hope that goes away at some point.
You know you didn't do anything wrong, right?
Yeah.
Can you say that?
No. Not yet. So it's now the second day since the ER, day 2 since the ER. Woke up in the night last night with horrible cramps at like 2 in the morning and a migraine, and I couldn't fall back asleep till like 5. So the recovery process took about 2 weeks. I was bleeding, I was tired. It takes a toll physically, and it's very intense. It was a blur because I went back to work. You know, it's not this thing that you can call out sick for 2 weeks, because it's not something anyone talks about. I just pushed it to the back of my mind and continued on with my life. Also, I have 2 kids. Life doesn't stop. I mean, just because I went through that doesn't mean that life stops for me and I don't have my existing responsibilities, which I think helped. I have not cried today, and that is an accomplishment because if you know me, you know I cry about everything. I was very sad and I felt very stupid. I felt very stupid for just assuming that everything was okay and everything was gonna be okay and I could make all these plans and tell people and buy stuff. And I felt confused about why I didn't see it coming and why I didn't know what to look for. The thing that has bothered me the most is that there's no conversation around this. It's not until it happens to you and you find certain support groups and people and stuff that that conversation even comes up. I would have given anything to have just a little insight, a little inkling into what to look out for. So I would highly encourage you, whether you're pregnant or not, or thinking about it or not, or maybe your partner is pregnant, whatever it may be, please do some research. You can go to this website or you can check any of the links in the description. As of right now, I can't even fathom thinking about, you know, trying again or having another, or, you know, trying for another, but at least I'm kind of at peace with it. With most stories of miscarriage, or when people choose to share their experience, it has a happy ending. But my happy ending, I guess, is that I already have 2 amazing kids, and for now I'm super happy with that. And I'm not saying that I'm ruling anything out in the future, but I'm just saying for right now I'm not putting any pressure on myself. And I'm lucky to be able to make that choice because I know that a lot of people don't get that luxury. So since that has happened, I am still asked daily if I'm going to have another child or if I want another child. And I know that no one understands what happened or knows what happened, but this whole experience has opened my eyes to an entire world that I didn't even think about. So for anyone out there who has gone through something similar or is going through something similar, I just want you to know that you're not alone. And it can happen to anyone. It happened to me.